Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. How was your weekend? Well, my weekend was spent over at my mother's place because I discovered that Comcast was ripping her off with additional fees on her bill. And I wanted to make this video today to talk about some ways that I saved her money, actually over $600 a year, and show you all the ways that Comcast starts racking up your costs per month even when they have you in a contract. The good news is that there's now a much simpler way to get rid of all their equipment and run everything on stuff that you own. So let's have a look at that. So let's begin by looking at her bill and see what we might be able to impact here. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that the package that she's paying for is about half of what the total bill ends up being. And we'll take a look at some things we might be able to claw back here in a second. But as you can see, she's in a 2-year contract for one of these Xfinity packages that includes cable and her internet along with her voice service. So she's got cable, phone, and internet here as part of this package. And you can see that she's also in a 2-year contract, so she's kind of obligated to stay within this deal. However, everything outside of this contract they can manipulate. So for example, without her knowing, they added on the premium DVR service. So although she was already paying for DVR as part of her package, they added in additional DVR services here that she was unaware of. I did get them to take this off the bill, but they only will rebate you back 4 months here. So we're getting $40 back, but she's been paying for this service that she's not using for quite a while now. And this is the kind of service creep that they attach to these bills, where you've got a customer service agent that's given some kind of bonus for adding these things, and they basically trick people into subscribing to services that they're not using. My mother doesn't even use the DVR service, let alone the premium side of this deal. And apparently the premium service adds more recording hours to the DVR that they operate in their cloud. Now, this next item is where they really stuck it to mom, and that is on the equipment rental. As you can see, she's spending right now $65 a month just for equipment, and that does not include services, and this sits outside the service layer, so they can jack these prices up whenever they want. And in fact, they did between December and January. So she was spending about, I think, $6.99 a month for boxes before, and suddenly these boxes cost $10 a month, but the boxes weren't swapped out. They're the same pieces of equipment that Comcast purchased years ago. So those include her X1 adapters here, like this one, which is an HD adapter that plugs into the HDMI port on the television. But it also includes 3 of these TV adapters that they sent her probably about a decade ago. And as you can see, these things hook up over RF. They're not even high definition. They're designed for hooking up to older tube televisions. And the reason why she has these things is because she had a couple of old TVs in the house, and my grandparents had moved in with her shortly before they both passed away, and they were watching TV on the regular television and needed these boxes to do it. Now, the oldest invoice I could find on her account was back from 2018, and there you can see those adapters were $5.99 each. So suddenly, these adapters got more expensive for Comcast to operate, but they never gave her new ones. It's a real head-scratcher. The worst part is that when she did the new contract renewal and they sent her another box for that, they should have taken a look at the account and said, wow, you've got a lot of these standard def adapters. Maybe we should take them back and give you something new, because she was actually using these adapters on high def TVs through their coax connections. And it just is a total ripoff here to see how long they were trying to stretch out this rental fee for. Now, I did try to call them, and unfortunately, you can't talk to anybody without having to go back through the website first. So for seniors and others who really struggle with computers, this is the only way you can get help. You actually have to call in, they send you an email or a text, then you have to log into the website and request that somebody actually talk to you. So what I did is I just picked up the ball and started chatting with the person here who says, let me explain, the price has been increased on your account due to a price revision which was done in December of last year. And of course, these people you're chatting with are not even in the United States here, so their English isn't very good. And the only way that mom got notified about this price increase of her rentals was this notice on the website. If she were actually to log into it, she didn't even have her password when we started this project yesterday. and the notification is chat to learn more. So you have to log into the website to even know that you're getting a price increase here. And what's really funny is how they train these people to try to empathize with you about this. I can understand how a sudden increase in our bills makes us feel. Well, of course, it makes us angry that you've been ripping mom off for a number of years. Now, I did try to initiate a return process here to get rid of all these boxes because there is a way out of this, which we'll get to in a minute. But only 2 of the boxes actually showed up on the website that I could return. So although we've got 5 boxes on the account, I can only return 2 of them because they don't even have the other 3 on my account as something that I can remove from it. Now, when I told the customer service person that we only have 2 boxes on the website that we can return, they responded and said that they would create a service ticket for us. And if you give it 24 hours and call this number in the morning, they will be able to dispatch a technician to pick up all these boxes. And so I said, great. And I said to my mother, give them a call in the morning and we'll get these boxes out of the house because I've already unhooked everything. And guess what? She calls them this morning, and what did they do? They sent her right back to that website where there's only 2 boxes on the screen. So now I am on their Twitter customer support, which, by the way, I found to be more effective than their own on-site customer support, and hoping to get a resolution to this issue because right now we still have 5 boxes and no way to return them. And they keep trying to get us to drive 45 minutes to their nearest office to work this out, which is not, I think, a very good outcome. So how do we get around all of this? Well, there's some good news here, and it's not all that complicated like it used to be in the past. So there is a way with an app called Xfinity Stream to be able to get rid of all of your cable box rental fees and replace those cable boxes with inexpensive devices like this Roku here. And that's what I did a bulk of yesterday doing after I was done with customer service. So right now, Mom has Rokus on 3 of her televisions. I'm going to bring 1 more over and get it all straightened out. And we're going to have her all set here without having to pay any more rental fees. And these little Rokus cost maybe 25 or 30 bucks, and that's it, one time, and you're good to go. And they are certified to work with Comcast. So let's dive into this a little bit and see what this is about. Now, the first thing I suggest you do is head over to their partner FAQ so that you can figure out whether or not you already have a compatible device. Now, at the time I'm recording this video, what is compatible with this Comcast alternative are Amazon Fire TVs, Apple TVs, some Samsung and LG televisions if they're new enough, and many are not, unfortunately, Roku, and then they do allow you to stream from your phone over to a Chromecast. But if you don't have anything, I would say the Roku is probably the best way to go because it has the simplest interface here and is the least expensive. Now, one other note on the FAQ to take a look at is that they do say that some of the X1 features that you would get on their rental boxes are not available on the partner devices. So, for example, the Xfinity voice remote will not work with your Roku or whatever other device you're using. You'll have to use the remote that came with the device. Movie and TV show rentals are available through Xfinity On Demand only on Roku and Amazon Fire TV devices, but not on the LG or Samsung smart TVs. Although I do think the Apple TV works with it because they're advertising that on the App Store page for the Apple TV. But just bear that in mind. It looks like there is some limitation on rentals if you're doing that. It does not appear as though any device supports a pay-per-view event rental, so be aware of that. You may have to go directly for some of the things you might be doing with pay-per-view. Also, you're not going to get access to the voicemail feature on the television, Xfi, and My Account, and some of the sports companion experiences that are part of that X1 box. You're going to lose all of that. And of course, if you're going to do Pandora, YouTube, and Netflix, you're going to have to subscribe to those directly and download those to your device directly, because you can subscribe now to Netflix through Comcast and have it show up on your rental box. But again, just as easy to get it going on the Roku here. One thing I would suggest you do maybe is that if you have one of these partner devices already, is download the Xfinity app and see how it works for you to see if you can live without some of the features that are not included here. But otherwise, it feels pretty complete. My mom felt like the interface was very familiar to her. You get your channel guide. It looks a lot like the X1 box looks like. So she's had no trouble navigating things. The only thing I had to train her on was when the TV turns on, you're going to be presented with a Roku home screen versus the Xfinity home screen. And I put her Xfinity Stream app kind of in the first position there so she can just jump to that right away. But we were also able to connect her Prime Video account because she does have an Amazon Prime account. She likes to watch the movies on there. And I also hooked her up on her YouTube to connect it to her Google account so she can watch some of the stuff she likes to watch on YouTube. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of free stuff out there these days like Pluto and Freevee that has some stuff that she likes to watch. So we got all of that loaded on the Roku, and so far she's been very happy with it. Now, my experience this weekend has led me to a checklist of items that I am going to recommend that you look into before you start. And the one issue was that this was a very time-consuming process of getting everything rolled over to these boxes. And that's because you have to set the Wi-Fi up on each device individually as you plug them in. And if you got a bunch of TVs to hook this up on, you're going to be spending some time just on that part alone. You also want to make sure that you've got, in addition to the Wi-Fi password, passwords for your parents' Xfinity account, for their Roku, iTunes, and Amazon accounts, and all the other streaming apps that they're using. And what's funny is that both my parents are very smart, capable people, but they have a very hard time managing passwords. And if you start going down this route and you don't have all the passwords in place, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure you've got everything, you can log into everything, so that when you start this process, it's smooth and it's not interrupted. Because if you can only get halfway through the install process here, I'm sure you're not going to be very popular with your parents. So just be aware of that, get those passwords together, and block off some time because it does take time to individually log into each service on each device. Now, the last item I would suggest you add to the checklist after you get all these things set up is to add yourself as an account manager on your parents' account like I just did. And this way you can negotiate on their behalf so that you can get them the right plan for what they're looking for. Because I'm finding every time my mom calls, they oversell her on what she needs. And you can head over to this page here on the Comcast website for instructions as to how to add a family member to the subscriber account so you can be authorized to make changes to the account. Now, as I mentioned, bringing the Roku into play here is going to save us about $50 a month, if not a little bit more when you account for taxes. So that's about $600 a year I took off her cable bill just by getting rid of all these Comcast boxes. But when you read the fine print on the screen, they say, at this time, you will not incur any equipment charges for using this device with your service. So who knows if they may try to charge you for it in the future. And if they do, we'll come back and do another video on that. But right now, you can get rid of all your cable boxes, hook up as many of these things, I think, as you want in the house, and you'll be able to access your Comcast subscribed services over the Roku or the Apple TV or the Fire TV without any additional equipment or subscriptions necessary. And you should be able to get the full extent of your cable subscription through these boxes. Now, they also have a mobile app that runs on phones and tablets, but you will find that the app works differently when you're out of the house versus in the house. So some channels won't work when you're out and about. And that's also true of the Roku devices here. So if you were to take this with you on vacation, you can't just plug it in and start watching everything from home because they do restrict the cable service to work in the address in which you are getting service. So there are some limitations to it, but it generally works pretty nicely. And the best thing is that the DVR, if you're paying for that, also works through the Roku like it does with one of Comcast's rented boxes. And right now it's free, but of course, all things are subject to change when you're dealing with Comcast. So definitely keep an eye on those bills because they were ripping my mom off for years. Again, I feel really bad about the fact that I hadn't looked at her bill earlier because she was paying for things that she clearly doesn't need. And this is only the first step of my correction here with them. We're getting rid of the boxes first, and next I'm going to renegotiate her service plan because she's got stuff on there that she's not using and doesn't need. So more to come on this, I am sure, and definitely share your war stories down in the comments below related to dealing with your cable company. Now, this video is being brought to you by all of you, and I want to thank Javier Rodriguez for making a super thanks on one of my videos recently, We also have some new supporters here on the channel. Ian Schulliner contributed via my donor box page. Dr. Jones signed up via Patreon. Sam Lazar Tech signed up on Floatplane, and Bob Ferran became a new member of the channel via the YouTube membership program. And if you want to support the channel like all of these folks did, you can go to Lon.TV/support and make a monthly or a one-time contribution to the channel. As you see, we support many of the popular ways in which you can support independent content creation, including my donor box page, but also the YouTube membership program, and super thanks, Floatplane and Patreon. And I want to thank everyone who contributed this week and everyone who's been contributing on an ongoing basis, and all of you who just watch on a regular basis too, because all of those things equal channel growth. And you can find me in a bunch of other places as well. We've got my Extras channel where we do unboxings and supplementary content. We also have my Amazon page where you can watch a lot of what I do ad-free. And that is going to do it for this look at our Comcast debacle here. Again, I'd love to hear from you and your experiences down in the comments below. We'll probably have more on this topic rolling forward, looking at how the Roku works with the Xfinity service. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.